All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, August 26th. We got a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, if you do want to fade me, all of that absolutely free down in the pinned comment. In terms of how we did yesterday, a 3-4 night, slightly in the red. Only a couple of these plays I'm a little, I guess all the losses I'm a little salty about, but the Phillies end up blowing their lead. That's unfortunate. But the Royals and White Sox first 5 under, and I guess that Shane Smith over and walks are probably the two like bad looks yesterday, because even in yesterday's video, I was like, all right, well, we got to worry about Shane Smith, right? Is he going to be able to pitch well? Shane Smith had, I don't even think it's arguable, his best outing of the entire season yesterday. It was Noah Cameron, a pitcher that I really like, that ended up giving, what was it, 5-6 runs in the first 5 innings, giving up those runs to the White Sox. So not exactly the best look there. The Padres end up losing, I think it was 9-6 to the Mariners. Took a little plus money shot there, but I would say the Phillies and that under were two that I'm like, man, wish we could get those back. But nonetheless, you can't get them back, right? All right, we got some good news and bad news with the ride of the day. First and foremost, let's get the bad news out of the way. Got to drop the womp womp on Mikey losing the ride of the day yesterday with the Padres money line. The good news, however, check it out. Mikey went on a 3-day streak, which a few other people have so far since we've been tracking, right? But 2.61 units of profit during that 3-day streak puts Mikey in the driver's seat here from the ride of the day tracking perspective. So you know what? Let's pump in some crowd noise for Mikey. Shout out to you. Since the tracking era has begun, which was way back, and I think it was like, early June or something, right? Or late May, actually. Mikey now atop the leaderboard. So let's get some love for Mikey in the comments. A really good streak for the community there. If you're like, what the heck are you talking about, Ev? What's the ride of the day? You're fairly new here. Guys, the ride of the day is super simple. It's something fun that we do on the channel. All you have to do is use that hashtag ride of the day down in the comments. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day and give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we continue to roll and ride with your plays. If you lose, you still get the shout out, but unfortunately, you got to face the womp womp from the soundboard, and no one wants to shout out a loss, right? So get those hashtag ride of the days down in the comments. All right, let's go ahead and dive into game number 1, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Really do appreciate it. Let's get going here. We got the Orioles taking on the Red Sox. This is one of our dubs yesterday. We had the Red Sox on the money line. It was kind of a sweat. I mean, they got off to an early lead. Shout out to Roman Anthony, an absolute stud. And then they go down 3-1, but then Jarren Duran hits a 3-run shot to put them up 4-3. And those are the only runs scored in the game. So it was a sweat because I believe that was in the 4th or 5th inning. So neither team scored for a long time. Today we have Kyle Bradish on the mound making his season debut for the Orioles, or just the season debut in general. And he's going up against Lucas Giolito, who has been kind of hit or miss lately. He does have more good on his, recent resume than bad. And his last start against Baltimore, which was this season, was phenomenal. It was in Boston, 7 innings pitched, 0 earned, 6 Ks, 2 walks. He's got some decent numbers in a small sample size against this current team in terms of the guys that make up this Baltimore squad, but so does Kyle Bradish. That being said, his first start, I imagine they will have to turn to the bullpen at some point too. So I'm going to lean towards the Red Sox in this spot, trusting the better, what I would consider the better offense, the better starting pitcher, and then the bullpen that's in the better situation ultimately, because I do think that Giolito can give you, hopefully 6 innings, and we only have to manage that bullpen because they did pitch, I think, 4 or 5 guys from the Red Sox bullpen yesterday, but Chapman only threw 7 innings. If they need him, he should be good to go. Wilson, Weiser should be good to go. So I think that we'll have a better spot for the Sox team late in the game, and even though this Baltimore bullpen is very healthy and untaxed, still not exactly the best bullpen, right? So give me the Red Sox as well as their team total over 3.5. The money line is a decent look if you're looking for a better price, but I think that 3.5 should be a little safer. Cross your fingers. I mean, there's nothing safe in this industry, but that's kind of how I would view it. Next up, we have Miami taking on Atlanta. This is a good call by us yesterday with the first 3 under. The game finished 2-1, so that was a low-scoring game all the way around. We got Edward Cabrera going 7 innings, then Spencer Strider also going 7 innings. I watched a lot of that game, and I'll tell you, if you like offense and you don't like really good pitching, then you probably wouldn't have liked that game, but I actually really enjoyed it. Today, we have Hurston Waldrop on the mound for Atlanta. He's been very good, right, in his 4 starts this year, going up against Sandy Alcantara. Now, the one thing I'll say about Waldrop is that he's already pitched against this Miami team. So a 23-year-old pitcher that's looked very good. He pitched 6 innings, 1 earned against them last time out. I can't see the situation working out that, you know, in 2 of his first 5 starts, he sees the same team within the same month as well, and they don't hit him a little bit better. So just because it is plus money, I'm going to be looking at the Marlins here. I don't think that they're going to ultimately, you know, go off on him and vice versa with the Braves against Sandy Alcantara either. Hence why I'm saying that I don't mind that under 8, you know, as well. Michael Harris Jr. could be another spot to take a peek at here. He has some really good numbers against Alcantara. 6 of 16, so a 375 average with an on-base percentage of 375, 1 home run, 2 walks, K rate 25%. He's batting against right-handed pitchers very, very well. Now, he was on absolute fire. The problem is he's only hit this line once in his last 5 games, so maybe, just maybe, he's cooling off. That being said, head-to-head dating back to, I believe it's last year, he's hit this in 65% of games against the Marlins, so I don't necessarily mind this spot here, right? And 9 of 16 against righties when playing the Marlins, so I kind of like Michael Harris there, but again, the Marlins lean is fairly simple. You get the plus money, so I like that. And they're seeing a pitcher that's young, and it's his first time against a, you know, first time going up against the team a second time in his young career here. So give me the Marlins as well as a slight lean towards the under. I don't think either one of these offenses are just like firing on all cylinders as of right now. That was kind of a confusing one, saying it's his first time going up against a team for the second time, but hopefully that does make sense to you guys, because I think it makes sense to me. Real quick, guys, before we do move on, I want to let you know that we are still looking for people to join our NFL Survivor Pool. A bunch of guys hopped in yesterday. It is going to be linked down in the description as well as the pinned comment. $10 per entry. You can enter up to 5 times. If you guys don't know what a Survivor Pool is, it's super, super fun. You have to pick one winner each and every NFL week. The catch is you can't pick the same team twice. So me as a Patriots fan, say I like the Patriots week 1 and they win. That's great. They win for me. I move on to week number 2, but I can't use the Patriots again for the rest of the season. You can enter up to 5 times, so if you do want more of a chance, you know, you could pick 5 different teams and have a little bit of diversity there, but it's really, really cool, guys. Head down to the link in the description as well as the pinned comment. Enter this today. Last year it was super, super fun. There's a chat in there that we have going with it. People are talking smack and all that. And by the way, the winner goes home with nearly $3,000 if we fill this bad boy up. Obviously, the price will be dependent on how many people we get to join, but go ahead and check it out, guys. Link down in the description as well as the pinned comment. $10 per entry. You can enter up to 5 times. Let's jump back into these games. All right, moving on, we got Tampa Bay and this Cleveland team. Tanner Bybee just does not seem to be too great. I mean, he didn't let up the bulk of the damage yesterday, I guess, but still a 9-0 win for Tampa Bay yesterday. I will say that this is a spot in which, you know, we could see the exact same thing, because it seems like Tampa Bay's offense is starting to look better and better, which is kind of crazy. 9, 7, 10, 4, 4 in their last, 5 games, right? Now, Cleveland's pitching a young pitcher who's actually looked okay so far. I mean, I think he has 1 start under his belt in his MLB career here, and it was 6 2/3 against Arizona just a week ago. 1 earned, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. Not all that terrible, right? Can Tampa Bay get to him? I do believe so if their offense continues to go, but the real reason I end up leaning towards the Rays here is that they have Shane Baz on the mound, who I would consider the better pitcher in this spot, in desperate need of some bounce back. His numbers in his last 5, in fact, the less games you go back, the worse it looks. So the more recent you look, he's been pretty damn bad, but in his last 5 starts, 4.2 ERA, he's averaging, I believe, 4.5 runs coming in, so some that aren't earned, over 6 hits, only 4.2 innings pitched. Like, he's not looked all that tremendous. But this Guardian squad, a team that seems to be struggling a little bit, 3 games in a row of 0 runs, seems like it might be a good spot for Shane Baz to kind of bounce back. So I do lean towards the Rays, but I'm going to give a little bit of credit to this Parker Messick kid, that he could pitch, the first portion of this game fairly well, because he did the first time out. So I'll lean first 5 under 2.5, first 3 under 2.5, first 5 under 4.5. Nothing that I'm like over the moon about. I think I'd rather just look at the Rays for plus money if we roll with anything in this one, but we also do have, looks like, some weather coming in here in Progressive Field, so maybe that'll help keep these numbers down as well. So yeah, all 3 of those plays could be final plays, but like I said, not fully over the moon. We have a full slate to dive into. Maybe, just maybe, those become final plays, but even still, they might be kind of lighter on the unit side of things, but ultimately it's going to be Rays or one of those unders for me in this spot. All right, next up, we have the Yankees taking on the Nationals here. Yankees with a big 10-5 win yesterday. We kind of thought that would happen, though, right? We'd kind of called that one because the Yankees got spanked by the Red Sox, losing 3 of 4 in their last series. They come out obviously firing. Now, I do like the Yankees today. I'm going to look at them -1. The reason being is I think you're getting a decent price because you're going up against Mackenzie Gore, who's obviously a very, very good left-handed pitcher. His opposition is Luis Gil today. The thing that I will say about Mackenzie Gore, though, is I don't think he's looked like fully sharp in a sense, which may be a good time to take a hot offense against him, right? This Yankees squad batting lefties pretty well, 260 average over the last 30 days, which is good enough for the 11th in the league, 115 WRC plus, that's good enough for 7th best in the league. Walk rate is at 6. Mackenzie Gore's had some walk issues on the road this year, which might be massive. On base percentage, 9th. OPS, 8th. ISO and slugging, 12th and 10th. So I do think this Yankee squad could put up some runs. I like that -1 more than I do that team total over 4.5. I will say that. Right now, 4.5 is going to get you -130. You can get that same exact price for them just to win, -1. Now, we get the question a lot. What's the difference between -1 and money line? -1, if they win by just 1 run, it is a push. You do not win that. Whereas money line, obviously, if they win the game, you win your play, right? So I don't think that the Yankees are worth -190, but that -1 we could potentially swing. We're also looking for Luis Gil to go out there and pitch well, which obviously he didn't exactly start all that great when he opened up there this season, but in his last few starts against Houston, St. Louis, and Boston have been pretty damn good, so I don't necessarily mind him in this spot, and the Nationals have barely seen him. 3 plate appearances against Luis Gil, obviously making sense, a young pitcher, and he's missed most of this season. So Yankees and their team total over, that's all I'd be looking at here. I do think that the Yankees -1 is probably something that could work its way into being a final play, just because I don't think that offense is too fadeable right now, and Mackenzie Gore has been just slightly off from that dominant pitcher. And even if he does pitch well, who's to say that this Nationals team can get to Luis Gil, right? And then who's also to say that the Yankees can't put up a million in the back half of this game against the bullpen? Blue Jays taking on the Twins. It seemed too easy to roll with the Blue Jays yesterday, right? So we kind of stayed away from it. Smelled a little bit like a trap, and boom, they win 10-4. This Blue Jays team obviously is probably still somewhat worth considering at this price. On the mound today is going to be Chris Bassett, 3 ERA over his last 5 games. That's including his 5th most recent start, in which he didn't look all that great. Since then, it's been a lot better, so it would be sub-3 ERA. Bailey Ober's on the bump, and kind of the same thing for him. His last 4 starts have been good. You look at his last 5 numbers, and they're kind of skyrocketed by Detroit getting to him. I still think, and it's tough because there are a decent amount of angles I can go in terms of Bailey Ober that maybe he could pitch well against this Toronto team, including his history against this actual roster. 27% K rate, just a 4% walk rate, 181 average against, a WOBA of 230. But that being said, those previous at-bats were a different Toronto team. This Toronto team is rearing right now, and Chris Bassett's been all right. So still at this price, I do lean Blue Jays. I almost wanted to take a peek at Minnesota, but I cannot back that offense whatsoever. And honestly, at any given moment, I feel like this is a Twins team that just says, you know what, we already kind of punted the season. Let's forget about it. So yeah, you probably won't see me riding with them much for the rest of the year. I don't mind the first 500, though. That's the little bit of the breadcrumb that I'm giving Bailey Ober, that I think that he can pitch fairly well. Even using our dashboard, you could see it right here. Fastball, changeup, and slider. The fastball and the changeup should be 2 fairly decent pitches against him. And then obviously Chris Bassett has a million pitches that he'll throw, some of which should work against an offense that is really, really struggling, right? So yeah, to me, it's just going to be the Blue Jays. But also, I think that they probably put up the bulk of their runs late in the game. You can get a nice 5.5 number in the first 5. I'm going to look at both those. Both of those are fairly juiced, but still, Blue Jays in the first 5 under 5.5 is what I'd look at here. Bailey Ober, definitely his numbers don't look all that great on the road or as a whole, anything like that. So I understand it if someone's like, yikes, the first 500 against with this Toronto team involved. I get it. It's just where my head's at right now. So Blue Jays, I think, probably lead this one after 5, like 3-1, something like that. And then maybe against that crap bullpen, they put up even more. Hey, real quick, guys, I want to talk to you about Sleeper. If you have not checked them out yet, they have a new promo right now, which is pretty damn cool. If you sign up today, first off, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. That is staying the case. You can double up right then and there. But another cool thing that they're doing is this new user mystery square. So not every new user is getting the same square. This is going to be a 0.5 line. I assume it's going to be a 0.5 pitcher out or a 0.5 at bat, something that is guaranteed to cash unless some crazy thing happens. You get a free square. You can throw that into your entry today. If you guys like player props and you have not checked out Sleeper yet, we've talked about them for years, right? One of my favorite DFS player prop apps out there. Go ahead and check it out. I'll have a link down in the description as well as the pinned comment, or just scan the QR code on your screen right now. Again, you're going to get up to a free $100 depending on your deposit size, and you'll get this free square. And by the way, Sleeper is dropping so many promos lately. They're doing it for preseason football. I know that they're going to go crazy during the football season, so jump on board prior to football season so you can make sure to get all of those rewards and promos. Check it out, guys. Link down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. Let's jump back into these games. Mets taking on the Phillies. This was one of our L's yesterday. The Mets come back from behind, tied up 3-3, and then they never really looked back, right? That was I think it was 13 or 12, whatever. A double-digit win to 3 game yesterday. Chris Sanchez didn't look like Chris Sanchez. Kodai Senga didn't even pitch well, which is the sad part here. Today looks like we're going to get Jesus Luzardo on the mound going up against Sean Manaea. Jesus Luzardo's coming off of a really good start. It was against Seattle, 6 innings pitched, just 1 earned with 12 strikeouts, no walks. Sean Manaea is coming off of, I would say, 3 or 4 bad starts in a row, and I think we can use the word bad. He started the season red hot coming back, right? I think he was his first start in like mid-June, and since then, nothing all that to write home about. I don't love his numbers against this Phillies squad either. You can even see here, if we flash up Baseball Savant, this is the pitching versus the actual team, right? Jesus Luzardo, numbers look pretty good. The WOBA is okay, right? But how about this? 122 plate appearances against, a 282 average against, WOBA of 399, expected slugging 570. The strikeout rate, okay. The walk rate, okay. But still, nothing that I'm like all that thrilled about. For me in this spot, it's going to be the Phillies. I don't mind the over because one thing that I will say is Jesus Luzardo, and you can see here with our dashboard, Jesus Luzardo is really good against lefties, kind of struggles against righties. Okay, well, there's not going to be too many lefties in the lineup. Juan Soto, sure, but then it's Nimmo and Batty as the other ones. Like, nothing too impressive there. It's going to be a lot of righties, including Lindor from the right side, so maybe the Mets can put up a number, as well as, hitting the fastball pretty well, but the slider and changeup should work for Luzardo. The slider should really work, for the Phillies to hit off of Manaea too. So I do think that the Phillies have the upper hand here, but enough where this may be kind of a little bit of a both teams scoring on either side. One spot you could look at would be Phillies team total over 3.5, right? Forget Luzardo, forget his weakness, whether you want to say on the road or against righties. Phillies go out there and score 4 runs for you, you cash that one. So 3 viable options, I would say, in this spot. I will say the Mets are definitely a lot worse against lefties than they are righties, but how can I even say that with a straight face? They just got to Chris Sanchez, the Cy Young guy, the Cy Young probability guy, in terms of, a lefty yesterday. So maybe that's a little far-fetched as right now. Maybe this offense is heating up. But to me, Phillies get their get back, as well as, probably put up 4+ runs in this spot. So all those pretty viable options for me. Next up, we got the Brewers taking on the Diamondbacks. Jacob Misarowski listed as a starter here for Milwaukee, going up against Brendan Pfaadt for Arizona. Brendan Pfaadt hasn't, his outings haven't looked all that terrible. I mean, he has that one blemish. I think it was against Cincinnati. Yeah, Cincinnati, 1 and a third, 5 earned. Like, that was terrible, right? But prior to that, he was pitching pretty well. And then even after that, it's not the worst of starts. I'm not going to sit here and say that it was all that great. Actually, did I say Brendan Pfaadt? Misarowski. The thing with him, though, is he's going to pitch probably maximum 5 innings, and that even might be asking for a lot. They've already said that they're going to try and manage him, get ready for the playoffs and all that, so even if this kid is that good, which I do think that he has that talent, one, his numbers haven't been all that great. He was really good before that Cubs start and that Red start, but 2, even if he's really good, you're handing it off to a bullpen that's starting to show a little volatility, aren't they, right? So to me, this is probably a Diamondback start. I know I got the names confused, but Brendan Pfaadt, kind of in a similar boat. He had been pitching really well. Then he pitched against, I believe it was Colorado. Didn't have the best of numbers, but still pitched deep into the games, but bounced back last time out against Cleveland. 7 innings pitched, 2 earned. So as weird as it is, you may have somewhat of a starting pitching advantage in terms of innings that you're going to get, because both these bullpens, now if you look at Milwaukee's numbers, you're going to say, wow, that bullpen is really, really good. If you look at them more recently, not exactly as trustworthy as some of their season-long numbers would indicate. But point being here is that both of these bullpens struggle. if I think that we have somewhat of a couple innings of an advantage out of getting the starter in there for Arizona, I think it's worth a plus 124 look. Yesterday, the Milwaukee battled back and won this one 7-5. They were down, or they weren't down. They had bases loaded in like the second or third inning, and Woodruff got out of it. So it's like kind of good on them. Then Arizona battled back and made the game really, really close, but ultimately to no prevail, right? Then Milwaukee, I think it was what they scored in the bottom of the 8th or something like that to kind of give them some breathing room. Today, I could see a similar game happening where we have these cricket numbers go up multiple times throughout the game, and we hit that over 7.5. I know with Brandon Pfaadt, I said he's a good pitcher. I know I said Misarowski's a good pitcher, but again, it all comes down to the bullpens for me. So I'm going to lean towards the over in this spot. I think that we could see at bare minimum a 4-3 game, which, yes, that would be an under, but that is my floor. If we get one incidental run throughout the game, it hits that over 7.5. So yeah, give me the Diamondbacks for the plus money as well as that over 7.5. Next up, the White Sox taking on the Royals. Yes, yesterday was a little surprising to me. White Sox win this one 7-0. Smith goes 7 innings. Noah Cameron, who I would have given the better, starter tag to, didn't look all that great. And he doesn't throw hard or anything like that. So when he's not locating or he's locating poorly, obviously you could see multiple home runs coming and stuff like that, right? Today we have Martin Perez on the mound going up against Michael Lorenzen. Perez has been looking pretty good since coming into the fold this year. I will give him that credit. He's got a 1.15 whip with a 2.5 ERA, so good for him. That being said, he really struggles against righties, and most of the righties in this lineup, most of the righties, or I guess most of the lineup, I should say, on the Kansas City side are righties, especially the top of the order guys. India, Bobby Witt. You have Maikel Garcia, who's been very good. Salvador Perez. Now Randall Grichuk's in because it is a righty too. So I do think that this is a spot in which the Royals can probably put up a number. Throw in the fact that they are in a revenge spot or whatever, after losing and getting stomped yesterday. Sure, give me the Royals in this spot. They are still in a playoff hunt, right? So this Royals team, in theory, should care more about these games as the season winds down than the White Sox. So it's a good situation for them overall, I would say. I will say Michael Lorenzen, not exactly the most trustworthy guy in terms of wanting to back, but 2 of his last 3 starts, he's looked okay, and 1 of those was against this White Sox team. 0 earned, and he pitched into the 5th inning, so maybe the Royals can give him some run support. Maybe he can pitch well against this White Sox team yet again. Give me the Royals there. You can get decent odds right now. I believe Royals are only like minus 102 or something, so we may want to wait that one out and see if we can get an even better price. If we can get them at like even money, then hell yeah, because there's a lot of numbers and metrics that would say this White Sox offense is starting to heat up, and they are. So maybe we're going to see some money come into the White Sox and give us a better price on Kansas City. Who knows? That would be very, very nice, because I think I'm down to roll with the Royals today in a bounce back spot in what feels like probably more of a pressing need to win type game for them than it does the White Sox after getting a win yesterday. Much like yesterday, I don't have the strongest of takes for this series. We have the Cardinals taking on Pittsburgh. Yesterday, Cardinals end up pulling it through. We like the Cardinals and their team total over. They won on, I believe it was a walk-off, right? 7-6. I would say something similar today. Cardinals and their team total over. Mitch Keller is on the bump against them. He has not looked all that great. He is on the road, in which I don't really trust him there either. He's going to throw a lot of fastballs and sliders. Well, guess what? The slider is a pitch that this Cardinals team is hitting well as of right now. If someone's going to sit there and be like, yeah, but Palante, maybe he hasn't looked all that great, and, we could look at the Pirates for plus money, sure. But you're still asking the Pirates to go out there and score a decent amount of runs, right? Which I don't know if I can fully get behind. And their odds aren't all that crazy. You even see minus 131. Well, the Pirates are just beyond, in terms of plus money, even odds. So it's like not all that crazy odds. Like if they're plus 130 or something like that, then sure, maybe you can start to make the argument. But right now, I don't think you're getting a good enough price on the Pirates. Have I said the Padres at any time? The Pirates. If you're not getting a good price for them, I don't think that it's really all that worth it. So to me, it's a quick one. Cardinals and their team total over. All right, Texas taking on the Angels. One of our decent looks yesterday, right? We had the first 5 under, and that was a nice spot there. Soriano did his job. DeGrom got a little shaky, but still ended up doing his job. After 5 innings yesterday, that was a 2-0 ball game, and the Angels actually ended up winning it 4-0. In this spot, I do expect Texas to bounce back. We have Patrick Corbin on the bump. Do I love backing him? No, but he's a little bit better at home. Going up against Yusei Kikuchi, who really does struggle on the road. And check this out, right? Kikuchi, phenomenal against lefties. Okay, great. Well, against righties, yikes. There's going to be a bunch of righties, including a switch hitter in Jonah Heim here, who's going to be from the right side. So 8 projected righties in the lineup today. Flip it over, righties on the other side. Patrick Corbin kind of struggles against. Okay, there's going to be a lot of righties. In fact, I think it's going to be all righties, at least projected, because they have the switcher and Rahifo here in the lineup there. So where do I end up going? Yes, I like the Rangers to bounce back, but you can also see there, I like the over, and we can still get a 7.5 out there. I don't mind the 8 whatsoever, but the 7.5, if we see like a 5-3 win for the Rangers, something like that, looks pretty good. Also, don't mind Corey Seager. We have a decent pitch mix rating. Really comes down to the fact that he's been hitting the slider pretty well. What I worry about is he's been one of the guys that struggles big time against the left hand. Kikuchi is a left hand, but he does have a home run against him in the past. 20 plate appearances, 4 hits, 1 home run, 15% K rate with a 450 on base and 267 average. So maybe Seager has a decent day today. I think out of all those, the over, especially at 7, is something that I'm liking a little bit more than the rest. In fact, if we had to rank it, I'd go over Rangers, then Seager, because Seager, again, still has been struggling against lefties. We can't deny that. Astros, Rockies, I mean, nothing much to put here. Maybe we could say Astros as a parlay piece. And then Colorado team total under, I guess, maybe are the only things that we could look at here. I don't think that these odds are all that worth it. Minus 344 is crazy. You do have Hunter Brown on the mound. That's why I look at Colorado team total under. So sure, maybe that's a spot as well. But Tanner Gordon on the other side of things, nothing that I'm really looking to back. So yeah, I think the Astros win this one. I would say that they win it pretty decently. So if you can get under maybe like 3.5, under 4.5 for decent odds for Colorado, maybe that's the look. But I imagine you're gonna have to pull the trigger on a 3.5, which, you know, I could see Hunter Brown going up there and pitching an absolute gem and then handing it off to hopefully a bullpen that is ready to also shut down. So that team total for the Rockies could be a decent look. It's fair enough. Mariners taking on the Padres. Luis Castillo on the bump for the Mariners, going up against Dylan Cease. Luis Castillo has obviously had a very good year, right? Now, I will say, maybe you could say his last couple starts against the Mets and then the Phillies a little bit rocky, but those are both in, at the Citizens Bank and at Citi Field, so he was on the road there, not exactly his best work. Dylan Cease has also kind of been coming off of 2 rough-ish starts. I expect both these guys to bounce back today. I do think the Padres are the side that I like, but I also don't mind this game starting off a little clunky and a little slow, so I'm going to lean Padres here. I think that they can eventually get to Luis Castillo, but not exactly in the first, 3 innings or so. So first 3 under 2.5, maybe a first 5 under 4.5 as well. Luis Castillo, I think 80% of his starts over his last 20 or on the season have been under that 2.5. And then Dylan Cease has also been very good one time through the order this year. So yeah, the Padres, just because they're plus money. If this team was not plus money, I'd be looking at the Mariners for plus money. I think these are very, very close. Same kind of strategy we did yesterday. I do think that, we could sprinkle on the Padres today because I think this is going to be a very tight series. But that first 3 under, I'm pretty damn close to locking in. So I do like that spot ultimately. The first 5 under, I still do like, but I actually think the more and more innings we get here, the closer and closer we could potentially get to an over. So yeah, maybe a nerfy, maybe a first 3 under, that type of thing really doesn't bother me all that much. But again, Padres, because they're plus money, I would not argue if someone were to be on the Mariners today, but I just think that these two teams are close enough that the plus money probably ends up being where the value is. This next one's kind of a tough one here. We had San Fran taking on the Cubs. San Fran just took 2 of 3 against Milwaukee. Chicago swept the Angels. Maybe both teams are heading in the right direction. Matthew Boyd is on the bump here for Chicago. You could say that he's having a really, really good year, but in his last two of his last 3 starts, that's how I should put it, he hasn't looked all that great. Washington got to him, San Diego got to him, and then he pitched well against the Rays. The Rays were really struggling at that point. Again, mixed up the names. Justin Verlander has had a up and down season, but his last 2 of his last 3 starts haven't looked all that great. Matthew Boyd had a couple blow-ups in a row, and then he's kind of gotten back on track to some degree, but again, Milwaukee, he got in Chicago when the wind was blowing in. You might think that that's a really, really good start, but if you watch that game, pop-ups were barely making it out of the infield against Toronto. That's a really, really quality start, right? Then you had him go against, I believe it was St. Louis, not the best offense. Baltimore, not the best offense. Milwaukee did, when they were actually playing in Milwaukee and playing well, got to him. So it's a matter of if you believe that this San Fran offense is heading in the right direction, and I do think that they could be, but not enough, right? 4-4-7-4 in their last 4 games is not exactly what I'm looking for. If they were actually cruising and rearing and ready to go, then maybe. But this is still going to be a low-scoring game, and I think that the Cubs play small ball a little bit better. I'm trusting Verlander as well with that first 5 under 4.5, but I can picture this game even finishing close to an under, but that 7.5 seems a little bit, wonky to me in a sense. I think both pitchers have a little bit of an advantage compared to the bullpens. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards this first 500, but also the Cubs. If we can get a good price with them, I think, again, they play small ball a little bit better than this San Fran team. San Francisco's tough, not all that great against lefties, so it should be a tough matchup for them. And Matthew Boyd hopefully can kind of walk through this one, continue to do what he's been doing. In terms of that first 500, though, we do want Verlander to do what he's done more recently than not. Again, he has a couple blow-up starts, but Verlander seemed to start to find his stride a little bit there, right? Now, again, can he do it against the Cubs, a good offense? We shall see, but I don't mind that first 500, but gonna keep an eye, I should say, on that Cubs number, because I kind of want to get to the Cubs today. All right, we got the A's taking on the Tigers. Morton on the mound going up against Osvaldo Bido. This total's way up there at 11, and I think it makes sense, right? You have an A's team that's the #1 team at hitting the curveball in the last 30 days in terms of runs above average. And wouldn't you know, Charlie Morton loves the curveball. And then Osvaldo Bido on the other side of things. I do think the Tigers should be able to put up a respectable number against them. So that 11 ends up looking a little bit smaller when you kind of look at it that perspective. I do still lean towards the Tigers because I don't trust Bido. I also don't, like I said, mind that over. And now that I'm reading that, it's tough to see. It says A's meet over 1.5. What I mean by that is the meat of the order. So that's a big pause moment, especially with it being written. But the A's meat of the order, I'd like their over. So Langeliers, Rooker, Soderstrom, Kurtz, even Wilson in there. Wilson actually is one that I definitely could consider because he's been hitting the curveball really, really well. But yeah, Brent Rooker has been crushing the curveball. My only concern is that he hasn't been hitting righties as well. But still, the A's meat of the lineup, I think, could put up some numbies today. So yeah, A's meat over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Pause. Go ahead and comment 31 if you made it this far in the video. Let me know that you saw that I literally had meat just typed out on the screen. Didn't think of it until we were firing. But you know what? We're leaving it. We got to leave it, right? Let's move on. Dodgers taking on the Reds. Dodgers coming off of a 7-0 win yesterday. Emmett Sheehan went 7 innings pitched. Today, it's a little bit different. We have Kershaw on the mound. I mean, not a little bit different in terms of what we think could be the results, but Kershaw on the mound going up against Nick Martinez. This is a Cincinnati team that really struggles against lefties, so I think the Dodgers probably pull this one out, but minus 200 odds are pretty damn crazy. I don't mind their team total over or Cincinnati's team total under, so maybe we should add that in here just so we have it as the visual. So let's do this. Cincinnati team total under. Little on the go editing here. Boom, there we go. Cincinnati team total under could also be something that we consider. They really do struggle against the fastball and the curveball from Kershaw. They hit the slider okay, which is obviously Kershaw's main pitch, but again, this is a lefty throwing it, and they are really bad, especially from the power side of things against lefties. So ultimately it's going to be all Dodgers all the way, but I don't know if we can get a good price behind them. You know what I mean? But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Like I said, comment 31 if you made it to that point into the video, but if you hear it again, comment 31 even though you're now like 33 minutes in. But hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Do not forget to go sign up for our NFL Survivor contest, guys. We filled this bad boy up and the winner's walking home with nearly $3 grand for a $10 entry. Yeah, you heard that right. So go ahead and check it out. Again, make sure to go check out Sleeper, scan that QR code, or just use code GuyBoston or the link down in the description as well as the pinned comment. Hit that sub, hit that like button. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.